Thank you, Speaker. Honourable Senators, I rise to speak very briefly about Bill S-8, an act to amend the Immigration and Refugee Protection Act and to make consequential amendments to other acts and to amend the Immigration and Refugee Protection Regulations. I was unable to lend my support to this bill at second reading, and therefore I am taking a bit of your time today to do so. I will not repeat the essential features of the bill. You have heard them from the sponsor, Senator Harder, and from others. In a nutshell, this bill aligns our aspirations in the sanctions regime with appropriate legislation in IRCC to ensure that individuals who are sanctioned for various reasons under either CIMA or the Justice for Victims of Corruption Act are not inadvertently admitted into Canada. The right hand must know what the left hand is doing, and this is what the bill seeks to ensure. I think of this as a bit of a clean-up bill, but a bill that is nevertheless urgent in that we must make sure that we are clapping with both hands. And these amendments are essential. For one, the horrifying context in Ukraine, cities and communities decimated, thousands dead, brutal carnage which has been left behind by the invaders, mass graves, people with hands tied behind their back, torture, rape, etc. Russia's invasion of Ukraine has displaced close to 7 million people who have fled to Poland, Romania, Moldova, Hungary, Slovakia, and also into Canada. And unfortunately, as this conflict sees no end, I fear that more will be displaced. We also know that Russia is forcing tens of thousands of Ukrainians into camps into Russia. An estimated 200,000 children are among the people who have been removed from the Ukraine into Russia. Russia has, in essence, kidnapped them. And this is all horrifying. But if there is one tiny, tiny, tiny sliver of a silver lining, then it is the alignment of like-minded nation-states to come together on sanctioning Russians in different ways. An example is, of course, the swift and severe sanctions that have been imposed on Russia at SWIFT, and others too have been implemented. And I am pleased that the government, through this bill and through other proposed changes in the BIA on the repurposing and confiscation of frozen assets, is now taking a more expansive measure to approach our sanction regimes. Both measures will further strengthen Canada's commitment to holding foreign corrupt leaders and henchmen and entities to account for committing human rights abuses and grave breaches of peace and security. No one sanction regime imposed by any one jurisdiction can be as effective as when we collaborate and coordinate our responses with other like-minded jurisdictions. But in the least, we need to ensure internal coordination and alignment. As the sponsor has pointed out, the application of this bill is broader than simply that to Russia and Belarus. It will apply and can apply to other sanctioned individuals and entities from places like Iran, Myanmar, South Sudan, Syria, Venezuela, Zimbabwe, and North Korea. And this bill makes sense in other ways as well. First of all, on the basic point, we don't want sanctioned individuals coming to Canada. We don't want their money, and we do not want their presence. And Canada should in no way be a temporary or a permanent safe haven for them. Second, it makes sense to align CIMA with the Magnitsky Law. Magnitsky already has inadmissibility grounds for individuals that have committed grave human rights violations, torture, and grand corruption. Having sanction regimes that are consistent from one to the other also makes good sense. Finally, we know that sanctions applied by Canada and by others are having some effect. We know, and we have read, that there are a few Russian oligarchs who are already speaking out, and we need to tighten the noose every which way we can. In conclusion, colleagues, for far too long, corrupt, brutal, and criminal foreign officials and entities have acted with impunity. The government needs more tools to hold brutal leaders to account, and S-8 provides another way to do so. Calling them out is not enough. Sanctioning them is not enough. We must ensure that they never set foot in Canada, because I think we all know that once you are in Canada, it is extremely difficult to remove an individual. I will borrow a line from Senator Wu's speech on S-6, where he urged us to send S-6 to the other House. I will urge you to do the same by adding a yellow sticky note and marking it super urgent. Thank you, colleagues.